This is Kate Edwads, she's Executive Director from IGDA Worldwide. And Kate, we want to know what were your thoughts about the Latin American market as far as IGDA is concerned globally, and specifically about your Latin American chapters. What did you learn these last 2 days?
Well, I think it's really important to emphasize that Latin America is a tremendous growth market. I mean, I think that's very clear. There's so much promise in this market, in the game sector. It's poised to, I think, explode in a lot of different ways. It's just a matter of, how both companies that are external to Latin America can understand the nuance of how they get their games into Latin American markets and understand the linguistic and cultural aspects of adapting their games. But I also think it's a matter of, how do Latin American developers, which are quickly multiplying in cities across the region, how they get their games to market and understand how they get noticed in this very quickly growing, content market on a global basis. And so there's a lot of different ways that can happen. There's certainly a lot of mechanisms that exist already, monetization methods, companies that kind of help developers understand the landscape and get them engaged with the right partners for funding, for monetization, for hosting, all that kind of stuff. I think it's really important as well to be part of the developer community, and of course that's where the IGA comes in, because we have chapters that are active across Latin America, in Bogota, and Santiago, and Buenos Aires, and elsewhere. And it's not just about developing the game, it's not just about monetizing and getting it out there, it's also about being part of a community of people who understand what you're doing. They give you an opportunity to grow professionally, to better your skills, to even find people who can work on your team. And to do that, you really have to be part of an existing community.
Do you find that Latin American developers are recognizing that need and are acting upon that need, or do you think there's still they work independently and they don't see the value? I mean, how do you get them to get together and create a community where they can learn together and learn to monetize things? Because that's really what the issue is.
Well, I think they're more and more so they are realizing that you're not going to have as much success when you're doing it solo and trying to do it on your own. I think more and more people are realizing that to be part of a community and to take advantage of other people, I don't mean in a bad way, I mean in a good way, and there's so much knowledge that exists out there. Just like Latin American developers are going to conferences in Europe and the US and Asia to learn from developers who've had a great deal of success in the mobile space, and then they're taking this knowledge back to the region and then sharing it with others, and I think that's super important. And so I do see that happening more and more. Obviously, I think it's still going to take time to get up to speed, to really get to a point where basically the game development ecosystem in Latin America is at a place where it might be, for example, in the US or Europe. And a lot of that is not just the industry factors, there's also educational factors as well. I mean, you need to have education systems and programs that are actually teaching people what they need to know about game development so that they can go into an industry and that there will be jobs there for them, which then also pulls in the government aspect as well, that you need a government that's going to be very supportive of the effort.
As far as the monetization of games, what is the level of education and of awareness that Latin America, not just the developers, but the value chain has on this very important aspect of the industry?
I think there is not as much knowledge out there as there needs to be. Let me put it that way. I think everyone is focused on monetization because obviously generating revenue is what people want to do, and it's very important. But at the same time, I think a lot of developers that I encounter have very different perspectives on what that means for them. And for a lot of them, it's basically breaking even. It's like if they can just, spend get back the money they spent out of their bank account to make this game, they're happy. For others, they're not going to be happy unless they sell 10 million units, which might be really unrealistic. A lot of people keep saying they want to be the next Angry Birds, which is also, I think, unrealistic. Especially because a lot of people don't realize, a lot of developers I meet don't realize that Rovio was around for a long time. Angry Birds was like their 50th game. So it was not an instant success for them at all. And so they had to work hard, they kept working at it, and they just happened to come across a type of game that they created at the right time. It hit the right, note, so to speak, among consumers, and just kind of took off from there. And so there's a lot of luck involved as well, frankly, that your game, the game that you designed, is going to hit the audience at the right time, and it's also going to hit sort of the right moment of social media so that it can be picked up and spread so quickly and become basically a viral sensation. And all of those things are very hard to quantify, those things about how a game becomes so popular. And so I think at its core, most developers, they need to focus on the monetization part of it, because you can control that aspect. How are you going to make money off it? What's your model going to look like? And so that kind of knowledge, I think they should focus more on that and understanding how business works, which is another area that I see a lot, especially independent developers don't understand the fundamentals of running a business in their country, paying taxes, all that kind of stuff, because they just get so excited about creating their game.
Yeah.